I'm just in Christopher Grange in Liverpool, and I've come across two people who have Charles Bonnet Syndrome. They are Rita and Brian, and Rita's husband Arthur's here as well. Who wants to start then by telling me what Charles Bonnet Syndrome is? Who wants to give us an idea?
It's illusions. You see things that's impossible to see.
Give me an idea of what you mean by that, Brian.
Well, I see, if I look at a person who I can't see because I've got up and down vision, if I put my head back, I can see your face now, right? But looking straight at you, I can't see your face. But how can I put it? You see things that's impossible to see.
So they are illusions?
They are illusions.
What about you, Rita? What does Charles Bonnet Syndrome mean for you?
Illusions again.
Give us an idea of the types of things you see.
Well, I see people covered in flowers, little tiny flowers, all different colours. But the tree growing in my living room, bad cars coming into the running that are not there.
When you see these things, tell me how you feel. What's going on in your head?
I was terrified, but not now. I know what it is now.
Did you initially not have a diagnosis?
No.
Did you think you were going mad?
Yeah.
Arthur, you're Rita's husband. Yes. When Rita started telling you about all this stuff, what did you think?
I thought she was going off her head. We had more arguments in our house, but she was saying, who's that coming into the close? I've just seen a man and woman. We live in a close, only 9 houses. So on the corner, everyone who comes in, we see through the windows. I'd look to be nobody there. She insisted, can't you see that man and woman there?
And from your point of view, Arthur, how did you feel about that? You must have been really perturbed.
I was really perturbed. I was really worried. I thought she was losing it. Until I come here one day and I was talking to Mike Bailey, and he was telling me about this Charles Bonnet. And he said, look it up in Google. And when I looked it up, I started to read on it. And then I realised this is what Rita had.
So did that give you a sense of reassurance?
Yes, it did, yes. But trying to convince my friends, Rita had Charles Bonnet, when we were socialising, they were saying, oh, you're a nutter. So I got them all to look it up on the mobile phones, and they all now know it's true, what goes on.
Brian, you've had some really amazing illusions, haven't you?
Yes. I don't find them distressing now because I understand it. But the first one I had, I was sat with the wife watching the television. I don't really see the television, I listen to it. And at the side of the television, believe it or not, there was this hamster in a duffel coat.
A hamster in a duffel coat?
Climbing over books. But he wasn't a little hamster, he was about the size of a dog. But he had no legs. But he was climbing up and down these books. And I went to say to Rita...
Is that your wife?
Yes, it was. I've lost her now because she wasn't very well. And I wasn't going to upset her. I didn't want her to think I was going mad. So I turned to her. But when I looked back, it had gone.
Disappeared?
It disappeared. And I thought, well... I've seen something what's impossible to see because there's no books on the floor. It might be an hamster in a duffel coat, but there's no book. And I researched it then. I researched macula, what would cause macula.
What level of detail did this illusion appear to you in? Were there bright colours, anything like that?
It was like a cartoon character. So it's something I've seen in my life, or something similar. Right, but it wasn't little, it was about the size of a dog. I'd say about, 9 inches high. And it was climbing over the books. And I've seen other things. Right?
Are they like hallucinations, really?
Yeah, they are. It was impossible. And when I thought, well, I'm not going daft, there must be a reason for it. So I researched it. And I went into one, and then I advanced it. I wanted to know how the brain worked with my eyes and all that. And everything I've seen in my life is stored in my head. And everything I've ever heard is stored in my head. Because if I'm going down the road and I hear a blackbird make a noise, I know it's a blackbird, but I can't see it. right? So a dog barking, I know it's a dog, although I can't see it.
Rita, are your hallucinations based on previous life experiences?
I don't think so. I think the tree might have been because we were offered a house for a holiday at one time, and that had a tree growing through the house. It was in Cyprus, wasn't it? And that might have been why I've thought I'd seen a tree in my living room. That's the only one I can explain.
If you were advising somebody now who's had similar hallucinatory experiences to yourself, what would you say to them? What advice would you give them?
Tell somebody. I only spoke to one day. I just said, I think I'm going crackers. I said, I keep saying things.
What about support?
She said, you've got Charles Bonnet, see Mike.
What about support groups? Yeah, you've mentioned Mike, and Mike Bailey's had an honourable mention. Just to be clear, Mike's standing here with his hands in his pockets at the moment. He now looks slightly more formal.
No.
Mike works here at Christopher Grange, and he runs a support group, doesn't he?
Yeah. Well,
tell us about that.
We've been coming to the support group every once a month, haven't we?
Yeah.
And
what help do you get from that?
oh, a lot of help, because you're listening to other people, and it just makes me feel better.
And what about you, Brian? What support do you get?
I've been coming ever since it started, the Charles Bonnet Society and the Michael. But when something you find, people come, and they are distressed, right? We've had different people come. But once I realise, and it's been explained to them, that they're not going daft, right? They don't come again. Right, because it seemed to be cured.
Now, on my right-hand side, he's just crept into the picture, so I'm going to talk to him. Mike Bailey, how are you?
Hello, Tom.
We've known each other for a while.
Yes, yeah.
And you were the one who mentioned the Charles Bonnet Syndrome support group that you run here.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about it, when it runs, etc.
It runs on the second Friday of every month. Between 1 and 3 o'clock.
And what's the idea behind it?
It's getting people, Tom, in the Merseyside and North. We've had people as far as Wigan coming out, Sefton area, Southport, Nantwich.
And Twitch.
It's to letting them know there is help here.
What sort of help is there? What do you do?
Peer support. The guys themselves, they're all help. They become friends, socialising. They're making a network of friends. But one, it's getting them out of isolation, and the people, when they first come to them, you can see the fear in their faces. But once they realise they're not going mad, and it's something that there's coping strategies for them, we give them leaflets on that. But once they realise there's help there and they're not going mad, that's the main thing.
And one of our friends, Judith Potts, a very good, great person, isn't she?
Yes.
Runs Esme's Umbrella. Yeah. Tell us a little bit about Esme's Umbrella, Mike.
Esme's Umbrella is it's an organisation based down south, started by Judith Potts, and it was named after her mother. You could Google it, Esme's Umbrella. She's like a one-woman band. It's amazing, Tom. I first heard her on Radio 4.
She's a force of nature, isn't she, in a good way?
I heard her doing on Radio 4, BBC Radio 4, talking about a mum and her experience and why she started Esme's Umbrella. I contacted her a couple of months later. I seen her in the workshop, in a visionary workshop. And I just said, yeah, I'll offer to support you or help you any way you can. So ourselves, Bradbury Fields, we've got blind veterans involved, guide dogs. Yeah. So all the big organisations in the Merseyside area, we're joining forces and a partnership, and we're just letting people know it's
what it's all about.
Yeah.
I went with Mike to York to see the Esme. Well, and what shocked me was it's not age related. It can affect anyone who's lost sight. And it seems to be about when you've lost over 60%. But there was people there. What shocked me, younger people had self-harmed because of what they'd seen. Nobody was there to explain to them. And that's what's good about this group. As I say, they come, but there was another lady who thought about committing suicide. But everybody sees something different.
Arthur, you've seen the change in Rita since she came to the support group, or started coming to the support group here at Christopher Grange. Tell us how she's changed.
Oh, she's changed. She's more relaxed. She was worried. She was down. She was drawing into herself until she come here, and then she's back to Rita more or less now.
Mike, you've told us there that people who attend the support group develop and change.
Yes.
Just give us an idea of how Brian and Rita have changed in particular.
It's just the personality. When it's not just Rita and Brian, but when people first come to the group,
you see the fear. You were saying.
Their fear in their faces. They've seen tears in their eyes, and to see them laughing and laughter after a few visits, even after one visit, you can see it's hard to explain. The fear got off the face, and they know they're not going mad.
Mike, Charles Bonnet Syndrome has been described as a theatre of the mind, and there are people who've had these illusions, hallucinations for 20, 30 years. Why is that happening? What happens to people when they're diagnosed as visually impaired?
When someone's diagnosed, Tom, a consultant has got to sign a form. It's called a Certificate of Visual Impairment now, a CVI form. And the only consultant can sign that form. But surely, if a box was put on that form to say, was Charles Bonnet mentioned, i.e. hallucinations, people may see them at a later date, as soon as that box is ticked, they know about it, because further on down the line, when they start getting the hallucinations, they're not going to go mad. It's not going to affect.
They'll at least be aware of it, won't
yes,
they?
Yeah.
Have people actually been sectioned because people have thought they were going mad?
Personally, I don't know anyone. I have heard some stories, Tom, but it's...
What about you, Brian? Were you about to say something?
Well, I met people. I'm a blind veteran. And just to praise the blind veterans, that's something, when they visit a blind veteran, a new member, something like that, that's one of the questions they ask. Have you seen any unusual visions?
And you think that should be asked all the time?
It should be.
Okay, so let's just we'll draw this to a close. People who are listening to this may be thinking, how on earth do I cope with this? Where do I get help? So if you live in the Merseyside area, first of all, what do they do, Mike?
All you've got to do is give us a call on 0151 220 2525 or 221 0888. Ask any member of the team at Bradbury or Christopher Grange when the next meeting is.
And people who live further afield, I'm guessing Esme's Umbrella is a good place to start.
Yes.
Okay, well, all it remains for me to do is say Mike Bailey, thank you very much, and also to Arthur, to Brian, and to Rita as well. Thank you very much, everybody.
She's a star.
Thank you.
She's a star.